Let me get set up here. I was sewing and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, it's 10:01. So let me just finish this and we will get going today. I'm really excited that finally we're starting on this neutrals quilt. And John came in and said, yeah, I'm so excited I didn't even do my Wordle today. And let me just talk about that Wordle thing. I am not a prolific reader, and everybody was doing it in Hawaii, and I found myself exceedingly frustrated by the whole thing. But one thing that was super funny is for our anniversary, we took everybody out on a catamaran dinner, and this guy starts to say, well, yeah, the word today, everybody on the catamaran turned around and yelled at him. It was freaking hilarious, hilarious. So here we are. We're going to start on our neutrals quilt, and taping went really, really well. It was 6 days. That's long. But we got some really great shows out of it. And over the course of the next couple of as we do the neutrals quilt, the one behind me, I'll be talking about some of the different shows that we tape, because basically this is how it's going to fly. I'm going to do teaching on the neutrals quilt on Mondays. And then because there's so much repetitive sewing, I'm going to have you, we'll do stuff different on Wednesday and Friday so that you can enjoy the process of the whole thing and not just be like, I'm like a cracking the whip on you too much. So I have some things I want to share with you. And oh, wait, first I want to get the comments up. I never know. There we go. There we go. I lost my glasses this morning. Let me tell you something right now. That was almost a huge disaster beyond measure. Hey, Rondi, I'm going to talk about you today. Yes, I am. But first, I want to show this. Margot sent me this picture, and the guy's name is Eric Spear, and this is crocheted and knitted, or maybe just knitted. I don't know, but I love it on so many levels. First of all, it's in neutrals, which is where we're going. And secondly, in college, I had a crochet teacher. Yeah, in college. She was a Friday professor, and her name is Marika Contempasis. And she would do wall sculptures, three-dimensional like this, out of crochet that just absolutely blew my mind. And so when Margot sent me this, I'm like going, ugh. And Marika's wall sculptures, if I remember correctly, probably 4 or 5 times that, and not in panels. And if I recall, there was one that was the Garden of Eden. I mean, it was just, oh, I loved that class. I learned a ton in that class, this crochet class, but what I didn't learn was how to read a pattern. So I can get very frustrated when I am crocheting because I don't know how to read a pattern. We did everything free form with her. All right, so I can't see that far. Oh, I can't see. There you go, Rondi. There you go. Rondi is my red, white, and blue person. I mean, everything red, white, and blue. Rondi, what's happening? Are you going through a change of life? It is absolutely spectacular. I'd forgotten that you weren't doing red, white, and blue, and it turned out great. You should be really happy. Let's see, what else do we have here? We now have, oh, Diana sent me this. You guys find the coolest things. This is embroidery on leaves. And I can't tell if it's machine embroidery. Probably not, right? Or hand embroidery. But gosh, just when you think you've seen it all, you haven't. I mean, this was just amazing to me. I appreciate when you guys find things out there and then send it to me so I can share with you. And I try not to lose things and forget things, but yeah, I do. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate. Okay, I can see people loading on. Here's, what's this? Oh, so what did I do when I got home from taping? I worked on my Joanne Sharp uh, year-long class, and she's having us do multimedia things. So this is a lot of gouache and also working with Posca pens and working with watercolors and all of that. So that was fun. That was for the month of March. Yeah, now we're into April, and I just got my gel plates in the mail, so I'm really excited about that. I also worked on my Sue Spargo stuff. Okay, so a quilt show. An absolutely amazing thing is going to happen. This is the Modesto Guild, Heart of the Valley. Their show is this weekend, and they're in a brand new place. So let me show you, why do I care, other than I do care about the Modesto Guild greatly. I consider them a sister guild of sorts. Oh, yay! Between all the things that have been going on, it's been a crazy 2 or 3 months as things are starting to, whip up and get going again. It's like one quilty thing after another. But I'm going to be there. And again, it's Heart of the Valley Quilt and Textile Arts Show. It's this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And it's at the Modesto Junior College West Campus. New location, new location. So I invite you to come and see me, see the quilts. I will tell you right now, their guild puts out really nice quilts. So I mean, it's like it's almost normal right now, which is kind of unbelievable. Or at least, well, we're pretending it's normal. Okay, so here's the other thing. Oh, let's see. Friday was April Fool's. and and this is what John and Kristen put together. Have Alex or Ricky finish your UFO. And they took you through a bunch of really dopey questions. And if you've been around TQS for any length of time, I can't see here. You know that we like to play with you. We like to play with your mind a little bit. And so people commented underneath it, and we love it when people comment. And this particular April Fool's got more comments than normal. So here's what I decided to do. I decided to go down the comments, and this is on the blog, and count like how many, like I don't even know how many comments there were. I can't remember right now, but count all the comments, put the numbers in a pot, and then draw somebody's name. And somebody is going to get a goodie package from TQS, the self-erase marker, which I love, 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 love. Love, love, love my pins. They're super sharp, and they're in this box that's got a magnet at the bottom. And then, of course, our fabulous glue stick. And I think Suzanne has some other things she's going to throw in the pot. And I picked out a name, and I'm pretty sure you're on right now. The winner, who never wins anything, is Trudy Flynn. So Trudy, I'll get these out to work. And what I need from you is I need from you your address so we can pop it in the mail to you. So congratulations, Trudy. You didn't win anything with the quilting weekend. And I realize this isn't a new Bernina, but it's nothing to sneeze at either. Okay, so congratulations. Yeah, it pays to comment on the quiltshow.law, quiltshow.com. Okay, where is this one? Oh, we'll get back to that in a minute. April Fool's, perfect. Okay, so Debbie is going to partake in the neutrals quilt, and it did not buy our kit, but she wanted me to see what I thought of what she's chosen. And her problem area, she felt, was on the far right one with, you can see like there's a yellow marker with 3 different pieces of fabric. Those are great. They'll work just fine. The one that I was concerned about, and I got back to her, is the center one. There's black in the upper left-hand corner. Be really careful. That can really speak out really loudly and scream. What I want to say is that it's interesting. The quilts I'm going to be showing you in a moment here before we get going, that was when the taupes or beiges were really in vogue. And now the grays are really in vogue. And so these are some of the fabrics that are in the kit. And we try to balance it between grays and taupes. And then also this color is kind of new, this mud color, which I happen to absolutely love. We have about a couple dozen kits left, and it's just beautiful. I mean, just beautiful stuff. Suzanne, Kristen, and I put it together, and it's great. Now, if you're working with your own collection, there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think that's absolutely great. You might want to go to your local quilt shop and see if you can interject some grays in there, all right? Because that will make it so it's not so dated with the taupes or the neutral beige. Also, if you see something like this fabric, and these are all in the kit, don't hesitate to use it. You can throw in little spots of color and it's not the end of the world. I think this is the darkest. I'm not going through the whole kit, but this one, yes, it has black in it, but it's not as black as the one I just showed you. So this is a piece. This was a super cool piece. You know, maybe ugly on the bolt, but it's going to cut up great. So anyways, I just want to, as we look at these, I want you to appreciate that, okay, this is great. I lost something that I'm supposed to be demoing. Where'd it go? I may have to cut in front of you. Okay, whatever. So let's go to, here. Is this Debbie's? Yeah. Yeah, so Debbie, you see that up again, that upper center one? Upper left, gotta go. Okay, so talk about beige. Here we go. We kind of segued into it with, the Silks project, all right? And you can see there's kind of grays, there's beiges, whatever. And like the guy up front, Eric, his stuff was incredible. Okay, this is Pam Vieira McGinnis's. And this was for my book, Neutral Essentials. And you can see how beige it is, how kind of tan. The grays weren't around then, so try and get some if you're doing your own stash. Just get some and put it in. Actually, the quilt that we're working on it was this quilt that inspired me, and this was in my baby book. I thought, you know, I could do something with this, and then let's look at it behind me. And you can see how it's kind of the same, only I've added a whole lot more to the whole thing. Then let's see, there we go. This is probably one of my most favorite neutrals quilts that I've ever done. It was not easy. I'm just gonna put it out there, but you could see it's got the taupes and the grays in it. It doesn't have that new muddy color that I was talking about that I happen to adore. It's interesting, you know, because historically they can date quilts by the fabric that was out there. This, I believe, ended up being a pattern. And again, look at how the beiges and the grays all work together. This quilt is, I kept it very subtle with very little value change in the middle so I could do my embroidery on top of it. So this is a cute story. This is a cute story. I'm sitting in church and I get a tap on the shoulder and Deanna goes, I'm gonna be a grandma for the first time. And I'm like going, I didn't know if that's the good news or the bad news. And I go, great. And then I've shared this before and congratulations. And then she tapped me again and she said, will you please make a quilt for the baby? Well, I'm like, what? In my brain, okay? And so, of course, the sermon that weekend was on sharing or something like that. Okay. So then she proceeds to tell me, they're from Mexico. She wanted this Spanish prayer on it, or Hispanic prayer, and it needed to be embroidered. I'm like, whoa, who are you talking to? I was before embroidery. And so she did the calligraphy in Spanish. Her mom, Estella, did the embroidery, and I made the quilt. Well, I kind of fell in love with the whole thing. And so I said, okay, Deanna, I said, I want it recalligraphied in English. And then I made mine. And of course, mine's better than the first one. Of course it is. If I have one regret, it's that I didn't leave the prayer in in Spanish. His angels watching ever by your side, covered in peace and love as you and he abide. Amen. And out of the angels' horns, I have little crystal bugles, bugles, trumpets. I have little glass beads coming out. Okay, so this is an older example, and you can kind of see how the fabric is dated, okay? But that's okay. You can work it in with new stuff. What's missing here, friends, is the white. Yeah. And look at that one in the middle that's the grays and taupes all in one print. That was a Pat Campbell print. That's probably one of the nicest pieces of fabric that I ever owned. And also to its right, it's got the gray and taupe with the white leaves on top. If you find fabric like that, you need to grab it because it is few and far between. And believe it or not, there's not a solid white in there. It looks like below the polka dot there is to the right-hand side, but it's not. But fabric can read as white, like the stars with the stars one, and you just need that, all right? So see, there you have your left, there you have your right, kind of the before and after thing. I am truly upset that I can't find oh, there it is on the ground. Okay, let me get rid of that. Because what we're gonna do today is this, okay? Get your pattern out. They're, I don't know, $7 or $8 or something. You can get it PDF at thequiltshow.com, or you can get a mail-in pattern, whatever works for you. I don't know how many pages it has, but it's a nice little pattern that we developed, and it's for the quilt that we're doing. And what we're going to be working on today are these little guys here. The little, are they 4 patches? Let me see. Yeah, the little 4 patches, all right? That's what we're going to be working on. If you turn to page 1, it's got all the cutting measurements and fabrics and all that you need. But if you go into the 3rd page, or the 2nd page, this is what we're going to work on today, all right? This is what we're going to work on. And actually, it was so funny because Trudy actually got hold of me this morning and said, how do you do pressing? And John goes, Trudy, she's the one that won. So see, I wrote her back and I said, stay tuned. So I did not write the pattern, all right? Catherine did, and she's a very good pattern writer. And so what she said you're going to want to do is make, where are we? You're going to want to cut out a bunch of white strips. You have solid white in your kit, and you're going to cut 10-inch strips by 1.5. And the reason you're going to want to do that, is because you want it to be scrappy. If you did the whole, I think they're fat quarters, the whole width of the fat quarter, it's less scrappy. Let's just put it that way. So probably knowing me with this quilt, I cut out all those squares 1.5 by 1.5 because that's just how I roll. Also, if you have other neutrals, you've got the kit, a lot of you've gotten it, that you want to add in, feel free. In my book, the more the merrier in this particular thing. So I have already sewn together 1 strip set, okay, right there. And now I'm going to sew together another strip set right here. And we're going to get into pressing, and we're going to get into pinning and all that good stuff. So while this seems like a ridiculous thing to say, it's not. When you're going to piece things together, when I look at this side, I want to see this fabric. When I look at the other side, I want to see that fabric. I think a lot of times people get really sloppy with how they lead things in, and that will cause you problems. The other thing is that these things are exactly lined up. It doesn't matter which side it's pressed to. It just doesn't matter, because if you press to the light, you'll see light from the back. You'll be fine with that. It's if it gets scooted that you could have issues. So I've mentioned 10,000 million times, if you are working on a higher end machine that has wide feed dogs, you're going to want to get a single whole throw plate. Now on my Bernina, I have kind of gravitated to the 97 foot because it has a little extra on this side and it helps grab with the feed dogs. Again, I do have a single whole throw plate. And sorry that a lot of this is repetitive, but you know, I'm going to assume we've got new people here. Also, on my Bernina, right here, there is this little, there's a little 1/4 inch mark, indentation. That is where I'm going to line up my 1/4 inch. I'm not going to pay too much attention to what's out here. And I know that seems crazy, but my deal is once it's under the machine, once it's under here, it's too late. So I am watching right here. All right. Thank you, Jackie. I think the girls put a killer amount of work into these kits. And we have a couple cutters that are not quilters, and they were saying this is probably one of their favorite kits we've ever done. And it's because the texture and the value. A neutral, when I did my first neutral quilt, it truly taught, oh, see how it's starting to scoot over? Not good. It taught me value and it taught me character of print. Okay. All right, so there I go. And now people sometimes get sloppy when they get to the end and they trail off. Don't do that. Pay attention. If you need to, use a stiletto to help guide in, all right? So let's go over to this other camera now. And we have these two different strip sets right here. The first thing I want to do is I will press to the dark randomly. I'm going to press to the dark on both sides. What's coming in, John?
I don't know where this question fits.
No, the half square triangles. I'm not talking about that. We're starting with the 4 patch. I'll get to that in a minute, okay? And the reason, I don't even know why I'm starting with this. I just am. Oh, because the half square triangles are going to take longer. What I want you to do is I want you to set your seams. Thank you, Mary Ann Fons. Note that my pressing surface is really, really hard. And I'll get to you with the half square triangles in a moment. So in this case, I like to press on the top. A lot of people press from the back. When I do that, I get a better chance of, when you see the hash mark as you sew, it's right aligned to it, Margaret, just right aligned to it. But let me talk about that for a moment, okay? Where I place, Margaret's asking the hashtag that's on the front of my machine there, where is it? You got to test your machine, and it's not even so much about your machine, it's about your thread and what thread you're using. So if you're using, say, 250 weights on your top and on your bobbin, you're going to be in a different position than myself, who's doing a Quilter Select 60 on top and an 80 on the bottom. So I learned from Sally Collins, always cut yourself, say, 2 strips that are 1 1/4 inches, and sew it, iron it, and see that it measures out to 2 inches. And you can do the same thing on this too. So I got a little side rail. John, don't bring questions till I'm done. Don't do that. Line them up. Line them up over here, okay? So anyways, I'm going to press on the top. And what I'm going to do is, here we go. If you have sloppy pressing on this, I will tell you right now, it's going to show. And by sloppy pressing, I mean you get little tucks in. It was your enemy with this quilt. Once I press this, I didn't bring over my thing to sit on top like my iron. I might even put that on top to help set it down even more, or one of those wooden clappers or something. Pressing is a big deal on this quilt. Big, big deal. So see, there are a lot of little, minutiae and things with this that you're going to pay attention to. The other thing you can do on this too is turn fabric upside down. And I want to note these little 4 patches. It's white on one side and another print on the other side. And that gives you a real strong, let's go over here. It gives you this right in here that goes down. All right, so it's a 4 patch with white on one side and something else on the other. All right, let me turn this over. Oops, sorry. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this at 1.5. And I love these little rulers for that. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the tail, and I'm in a really awkward angle. If I were, am I on here? No, shoot. There we go. I would line up this on the mat just to get it so I can get a really nice angle right here. So I know it's nice and square. I never use the mat for my cutting number. I always use the ruler. Now, if you have Quilter Select rulers, this is, because they don't slip, actually, we didn't come up with this, somebody else did. This just helps you pick it up and move it, all right? It is not to hold like this. So what did I say, 1.5? Now that I've got this exactly at a 90, I'm not all freaking out about it. Okay. 1, and then cut. Let's see. No, that's not very good. I'm going to cut it and then press it again, which I should press it before I cut it, but here we are. I am, I talk a big game on do this to get it right. But the truth of it is, the one thing where I lose my mind over is when people don't press properly. Okay, so it was this one that was funky, right? There we go. All right, now pinning. Let me do this in. When you pin, you're going to want to use fine, extra fine glass head pins. There's a lot on the market, I'll tell you right now. And I mean, of course, I would love you to try the Quilter Select ones, but Bowen has them, Clover has them. It's a pin that when you see the price tag, it takes your breath away. If you get the cheap pins, they will throw things off faster than anything. So what I'm going to do now is, because these seams are going in opposite directions, yay. Looks like I'm off a little bit there. It'll be fine. I'm going to peek in there. It's still blurry. Sorry, guys. I'm going to fire the cameraman. Okay, let me see if I get it up here. That's pretty good. I'm going to make sure that these exactly line up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in a pin 1/16 of an inch before that seam and 1/16 of an inch after that seam. All right, now when you're pinning, you want the pin to go under the 2 fabrics. Let me see if this is a better camera for that over here. You want the pins, to go underneath the fabric where you will be stitching. I find that people sometimes will pin like out here or here, and they're just not, it's not good. Okay, look, I can see exactly what happened here, what the boo-boo is. See how that has slipped here. It has slipped, which means now it's falling short up here. So I did that on purpose. No, I'll tell you how to cheat that, so that's no big deal. But that is exactly what I told you not to do. Can you guys see that? All right, now, okay, here's another trick. I can leave it like it is because it's not that big of a deal, or I can scooch it out so that it's exactly even, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to drop another pin in. When you do that, when you scooch one and it's a little bit bigger on one side, which would be, in this case, the white, you want the white to be on the bottom, the big side on the bottom. And how you remember that is because my guess, we all have big sides on our bottom. So you want the big side on the bottom, and it will help feed it in, even with my even feed going on the Bernina. So right there, I'm going to line it up. I'm going to take off the light a little bit, which will be my disadvantage, but your advantage. Okay, so right there. Okay. Man, the guests were really interesting this round at TQS, and I can't wait to talk about them. And then we're going to do ancillary interviews with them. Okay, look how this was like this, and I just scooched it over with my finger. Okay, now here comes the big dilemma. You really should pull out these pins before you get there. So I can do that, pull it out right now. My pants would be on fire if I told you I did that. I am going so slow, and because the pin is going underneath the fabric where the needle's coming down, it will just slide. I just slid right over that pin. I'm not going jackrabbit speed. I'm going very, very slow. Okay, it's starting to, got a piece of tape that keeps sticking on my sleeve here. Go like this. I missed you guys. Okay, there we go. Cut. And let's see if it matches. Say a little prayer. Well, first let's see, because I scooched it, did I make a tuck on this side up here? No, it went in just fine. Just fine. So, dun, 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 dun. Yeah. To-do. Now, what Trudy wanted to know is how to press it. You have a couple options. You can press open. You most certainly can. But I usually reserve that, and that seems to be the vogue thing these days. But I usually reserve that if I have 6 or more seams coming together. But what I did on these was I twirled them. And what that means is I'm breaking the thread that's going out to the edge on both sides. And then you go like this. Now let's move back to the other camera because I'm really at a disadvantage here where I'm at. Okay, I'm going to twirl it. And then one side goes this way, and then the other side comes towards me. You know, I just had a revelation. I'm wondering, because I'm working in beiges, if that's because the camera doesn't like white. So maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. But then in this case, I would probably press it from the back side like that. And then I would turn it over. Now see, you can see that tuck right there. You have to trust me. It's right there. Let me go back to this camera. See that? That is not good. That's how picky I am when I'm pressing. And now, because I don't have any biases exposed or anything like that, I can just press its little brains out. Okay, that is super cute right there. So how many of these do you need? 64. 64. So, you know, okay, what should it measure finished? What should it measure? Let's see what I should measure. To see if oh my gosh, your fearless leader nailed it. Okay, right there. It should measure 2.5 by 2.5. Woot, woot, yay! You know, when you do a live like this, you just don't know what's going to happen. Okay, let me grab this. Let's see. So one question, and that's what we're going to do next Monday. Should the half square triangles be 2.5? Yep. when they're finished, yep, because here you go, right? That's 2.5, right? Okay. Why are you not using the bar? Thank you for asking that. Okay. There's a bar. There's 2 feet. I think there's like a number 57 foot that's got a bar on the right hand side, and you can lead in with that. On the number 97 foot, there's also a bar you can use. It's a slide bar, and here's the thing with that: it gets in the way of my pins. Okay, because like I just said, don't do as I say, but they get in the way. The only time I use the foot with the bar is if I'm just doing mega strip piecing. That said, if it works for you, do it. I'm just showing you how I do it. I have to tell you, this time at taping, I learned things I didn't even know. So we all come into the system differently. Like some of us come in with rulers that have the extra 1/2 inch. Some of us did it, and so that's where we gravitate. So that's a good question. Okay. Rather than pin, can you use acorn glue? Yeah, I bet you could, huh? The only question then would be, can you twirl it? Then it might interfere with the twirling it. But here's the thing, you guys. First of all, I love Shelly and Bernie to pieces. And yeah, you could. I didn't do it. Okay. So if you got acorn glue, give it a try. And there we go. Do we have another one? Oh, you can press open. Here's the thing in pressing open, people. When you press open, you will see the threads in between if you have a magnifying glass. And so what's important is that you're using neutral threads. So sometimes when I'm pressing from one side to the other, I might get a little sloppy with the thread that's on my machine. But if you're gonna press open, make darn sure you got some neutral threads so that it won't look like little felt tip pen dots on it. Another one? Oh, I love you guys. Okay. I twirl my seams whenever possible. Makes a huge difference. When you twirl your seams, you don't like have a big lump. Okay. And another thing too is when you open your seams, that makes stitching in the ditch kind of tough. Pre-wash.
If it's going on a pen.
It's up to you. um, in the case of this quilt, well, first of all, number one, if I were doing a baby quilt, absolutely 100%. Number two, if I had some things like red in there and stuff like that, absolutely 100%. I have no fear of this stuff running at all because they're neutrals, right? As far as shrinkage goes, I'm not worried about it at all. I mean, yeah, it might. Another thing about pre-washing is that fabric is very, very dirty. And so you kind of have to figure out what your philosophy is and go with it. I don't. And the reason I don't is because number one, I'm too lazy. Let's just start with that straight up. Number two, typically my quilts are for patterns and things like that. So you want it crisp. If I were working with hand dyes, absolutely 100%, I wash every single piece, okay? Starch fabrics, Carol's asking. You can, if you want. Bernie and Shelly have a really great starch. You know, I wouldn't starch it too much, but if you wash it, you might want to just throw something on it to kind of whip it back together. And then this one, what foot do you use for a scant quarter? I don't believe in scant quarters. I believe in getting it right. And that is why I wasn't taught that way. Again, this is why I'm still quilting 40 years. There's so much out there. When I worked very closely with Bernina, they wanted to develop a scant quarter-inch foot. And in my opinion was, get it right. Just get it right, because my scant quarter on my machine is, my seam on my machine is different than your seam based on the threads that you're using. That's super important, the threads that you are using.
It's kind of suggested.
Needle sizes, thread off for piecing versus quilting.
She kind of wants for you to talk at some point about needles and threads, piecing versus quilting.
You know, so John is whispering threads for piecing versus quilting. You know, actually, that would be a really good segment. Maybe I want to do a little interview with Kay on that or something. Yeah, because I'm still trying to figure out the whole needle thing myself. I was told that pressing the seams open makes pressing open makes seams weaker. Is that true? Might be. You know, it might be. My rule is if I have 6 or more seams coming together, I press open. That's it. Other than that, I don't do it. You may want to share how you use 80 weight in your bobbin. Yeah, I'm using Quilter Select 80 weight, and it's a polyester thread that's lovely. It's super fine, and so your accuracy steps up tenfold. So I have an 80 on my bobbin and a 60 on my top. Again, your 1/4 inch gets down to the thread. Okay, so I just answered Susan. I have some of your color bright fabric in beige and gray from 2001. Pre-washing takes product out of the, Deb saying, pre-washing takes product out of the fabric that affects its shelf life. If you collect fabric, pre-wash right before you use it. I didn't know that. I really, Deb? That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, so Trudy, we're going to get this off to you, all right? Please email me your snail mail. You've got my email. Also, remember, if you go buy a Bernina, let me know before if it's over $1,000, and I can send you a $100 coupon card off snail mail that you mail in directly to Bernina, and they will send you a $100 check that you can use on anything you want. So I got a little letter from Karen Marston, and she sent me tips for peaceful sewing. And they were stuff I'd never heard of. And so on Wednesday, I'm going to go through Karen's tips and see. Okay. And also, we caught up with Teresa Duryea Wong at QuiltCon, and there's like a 5-minute interview with her. Okay. Marilyn said, I can only get 60 weight in Canada. Is that okay? It's very fine. Of course it's okay. It's probably Libby's bottom line. In the end, by Superior, in the end, you just want to get that seam right. And I know I'm talking like a crazy person, but all the things you can do to make yourself successful is worth doing. So, okay, guys. On next Monday, I'm going to do the half square triangle bit. All right, and I actually got a question before International Quilting Weekend about that. So, we'll work on that. Have fun with your fabrics, and I'm going to tell you, these beige quilts are beautiful, but it takes perseverance. It just really does because we're so used to color. But remember, you're going to learn value if you have any struggles with it and character of prints. In the meantime, start cutting and have fun, and I will see you guys soon. Wait, hold on. Can you repeat what Sharon referred to in pre-washing? What she said was, Deb said, pre-washing takes product out of the fabric that protects its shelf life. If you collect fabric, pre-wash right before you use it. I think that's what you're talking about. You know, I'm going long, I'm sorry. I work so scrappy that if I were to pre-wash all my fabric, you'd have to put me away, okay? Because I just work so scrappy and I just don't get bogged down with that. Okay? All right, guys. I will see you Wednesday. If you have any questions pertaining what we did today, first of all, go over, you can watch it again. So let's start with that. But my email is alexandrsn@gmail. Okay? Have a good one. See you Wednesday. Bye-bye.